Alright, YouTube, I wanted to go ahead and address this issue with Marc Lamont Hill criticizing Israel. One thing I want to get out of the way, I just want to go ahead and give you guys a quick history lesson. The non-Semitic Khazars originated from Mongolia. They were essentially Huns. They migrated west towards Ukraine, modern-day Ukraine. They settled near the Volga River, had somewhat of a semi-nomadic kingdom there, so they were a little more advanced than the Huns. They were able to uphold a reliable economy and all this stuff. Were able to have a functioning society with multiple religions and everything. A very strong military, mostly volunteer-based. They would also, they would actually lend their services out as mercenaries. I believe it was the Byzantine Empire that hired Khazar mercenaries to protect them. I'd have to reread the book over there that I got there, The 13th Tribe by Arthur Koestler. Really good book. But I just want to go ahead and get this out of the way. Marc Lamont Hill, when he criticizes Israel, he's not technically being anti-Semitic, because the people that occupy the current land of Israel were Khazars. They're non-Semitic people. All they did was, when they migrated west, is that they adopted Judaism as their state religion, while allowing other people to practice their own religion. Very similar to kind of how the United States is built upon Christianity, but as we know, that's slowly eradicated, unfortunately. I do believe this is a white Christian nation. More racism, whatever. But yeah, they say, oh, Judaism, so we can go ahead and occupy Israel, no big deal, and that's essentially what they did. So the Anti-Defamation League, which was founded by the Rothschilds also founded the New York Times, the Federal Reserve, or always had a big hand in creating it. They've funded pretty much every single war since the inception of our nation. They were Khazars. Their ancestors came from Mongolia. They originated from Mongolia. They migrated towards the Ukraine. I like calling it the Ukraine for some reason. But then they eventually, through ignorance, I guess, of history, they were able to adopt Judaism as their state religion and to say, hey, we're Jewish, which is completely false. You can call them Jewish, but they're not actually Jewish. They're Ashkenazis. The Ashkenazi Jews come from Eastern Europe. They're not Semitic people, technically speaking. And besides, Semitic is actually referring to like a group of languages. So Aramaic, I believe, would be thrown into that category. Hebrew as well. Yiddish, I'm not sure where Yiddish came from. I don't think it's a Semitic language. My theory on Yiddish, I should probably brush up on this history a little bit better, but my theory on Yiddish is that it was a religion, or rather a language that was created by the Khazars, kind of as their own state language, I guess. If that makes sense. If anybody could fact check me on that, that'd be great. But Marc Lamont Hill is not an anti-Semite in this context. He's simply criticizing the state of Israel for whatever reason. He's got his own motives. But I'll tell you this: the one thing that's very interesting that I've noticed when I'm trolling 4chan, or lurking rather, is that these people, they keep throwing out this theory that Fox News is constantly trying to prop up these people like Juan Williams, Shepard Smith, Louis Farrakhan, Marc Lamont Hill, now Hannity. That clip is down below in the description, by the way. Hannity lambasting Marc Lamont Hill for his anti-Semitic comments. Now, it's not like he's some base Negro or anything. Like he's basically filling the role. He's reading off the script, essentially. What this is doing, though, is perpetuating the myth that there's some kind of tension between the Jewish community and the black community and the gay community. Well, more specifically, the black community, when you have Louis Farrakhan and Marc Lamont Hill coming out and saying things. Obviously, two different statements there. Louis Farrakhan calling all Jews termites. I believe if people were to call all black people chimps, I think there would be a twofold backlash there, twofold multiplied. I don't know if that makes sense, but Marc Lamont Hill is simply filling the stereotype that all Jews and blacks don't get along. I don't know if that's a very accurate assessment. I think it's very crude, it's very off the nose, but it's something that I've been hearing on 4chan a lot. If you guys have any comments regarding that theory, please let me know. And I think that, as a nation of television viewers, if you choose to watch television or if you don't, you need to still be aware of what kind of message they're trying to send you. So basically, when they send you this message that Marc Lamont Hill is anti-Semitic, they're essentially trying to stoke division between the Jewish community and the African American community, which is what it is, but I just thought I'd go ahead and point it out. And another thing too about Shepard Smith and Juan Williams. So literally what I wrote, or what I read on 4chan, is that they say that Fox News props up a Negro and a faggot. That's what they say. They didn't use the more X-rated version of the word Negro, but they said they're essentially perpetuating the myth that all Negroes and all gays or all fags or whatever are against conservatism, which is far from the truth, you know. And then you're going to have, like, Gavin McInnes come out and counter-signal and say, like, my partner is married to 2 black men or something. Some weird shit like that. You know, and that's great. You know, you guys can do whatever you want. Gavin McInnes is a liberal. You know, I'll just say this right now. Gavin McInnes is not a bigot by any means. He's a counter-signaling liberal. He's so obsessed with identity politics, and that's fine. Everybody is obsessed with identity politics to a degree. I am, for sure. You know, I definitely believe in racial identity and national racial identity and all that stuff. All that's good stuff. So I think it's kind of hypocritical when Gavin McInnes comes out and says, "Oh, you know, we're trying to reject identity politics." At the same time, look at it this way: with Gavin McInnes, not to get off topic here, Gavin McInnes is also, you know, he's very liberal, very open-minded, but he's also being targeted by the FBI right now. Him and his Proud Boy alumni, which is very unfortunate because Red Elephants did a really good job covering this, by the way. The Red Elephants have pointed out that we have people that are harassing Tucker Carlson at his home, and they get off scot-free, yet Gavin McInnes and his little liberal friends, they go out and they want to be Proud Boys. They want to come off as chauvinist. they're pretty cucked in my opinion, but that's fine. They free speech for the win is what I say. So they come out, and then they're designated a hate group. Are you fucking kidding me? These people are anything but hateful, and the only time that you can say that they were hateful is when they were defending themselves against fucking Antifa throwing bottles of piss and shit at them. Oh my god, these hateful bigots trying to defend themselves from these anti-fascists. What are we gonna do? Well, you see what they've done. The FBI are literally trying to prosecute them at this point. They're literally trying to prosecute the Proud Boys for how gay they are. I'm going to defend their right to say what they want to say. Antifa, on their other hand, they're breaking laws there. They're doxing Tucker Carlson. They're throwing bottles of piss and shit. Are you fucking kidding me? And yet the FBI is turning a blind eye and saying, "No. It's the Proud Boys. We got to worry about them." The Proud Boys are a bunch of fucking cucks. But at the same time, you look at Antifa, they're twice as cuckish. Why isn't the FBI doing anything about that? Well, you could have a lot of theories about that. I happen to agree with Red Elephant's theory with Vincent James. He has said that Trump has lost control of his administration. With Mike Pompeo bringing in this Trump hater, this fucking dingbat of a lady, she's like tweeting and shit and all this other nonsense. He brings her in. Trump probably found out via the tweet that Mike Pompeo, or is either Mike Pompeo or the State Department, they mentioned that they're bringing on this lady, and then, sorry, I'm a little gassy here. These, I forgot what media outlet it was, but basically they brought in, or they announced that Mike Pompeo had hired this lady, and I believe she may have worked for the Washington Post at one point, but she just kept tweeting all these things about Trump and like how he's a fool on foreign policy, which I agree. Like, I think that there's a lot of things on foreign policy that he's doing wrong. I like to consider myself to be a true liberal, like a classic liberal. If you guys can lambast me for that in the comment section, but that's just the way I think. A lot of times that applies to foreign policy. I don't like what's happening overseas with the Yemen. I understand that we're getting a lot of money via the arms sales. Lindsey Graham has come out. He's campaigning, or he's spearheading the campaign to block all arms sales to Saudi Arabia. Ryan Dawson does some very good videos on this. He's talking about the Strait of Hormuz and how Saudi Arabia needs to build a port, so they don't need to. They could bypass the Strait of Hormuz because I believe Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz. And it makes it a very big problem for the Saudis if that strait is blocked. If they want to continue waging war on the Yemeni people and eventually wage war on the Iranian people, it will happen, believe me. And Ryan Dawson, like I said, he does a really good work on that. Alright, so just in closing, I want to say that Gavin McInnes is not a terrorist. Antifa, they have been literally designated as terrorists. They should be prosecuted. In fact, they should be hunted down because they're criminals. They're part of a criminal syndicate, in my opinion. They have been designated a terrorist organization. Gavin McGinnis and the Proud Goys are a terrorist group. Are you fucking kidding me? They're a hate group, and they're they're essentially they're about to head to prison. Are you fucking kidding me? They're a hate group. They're literally the most cucked out group you can possibly think of. Maybe not like completely cucked, but they're total cuck-servatives, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. I really don't. I really don't. They can do whatever the fuck they want. I just have a big problem with the big double standard. I just think that throwing bottles of piss and shit is infinitely worse than the fucking Proud Boys talking about how there's only two genders. I want to have a fucking border wall. Are you fucking kidding me? God bless.